Sharpen your swords, polish your armor, and pretend you know how to say ye old. Ye oldie? Ye old. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the top 25 upcoming medieval games you shouldn't miss. Starting off with number 25, it's Norse. You ever ask the question, what if XCOM drank mead? I don't know. What do Vikings do? Actually, might be better if I don't talk about what Vikings do a whole lot. This is a turn-based tactical RPG coming to us by way of Alkahest, published by Tripwire. It's an Unreal Engine game, looks real pretty. I kind of don't know why we even say that anymore. Pretty much every game is Unreal now. It's completely dependent on how good people are at art nowadays. It does look pretty though, to be fair. I don't know, Viking-themed XCOM sounds good to me. I like XCOM quite a bit, and I think that it doesn't have enough Vikings in it at all. I think this is a great remedy. Trade the laser rifles in for long ships and crap. Trade the aliens for berserkers, you know? Norse is coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series sometime this year. And number 24, it's Fable. So, I mean, it's a Fable reboot. If you remember Fable, it was a highly overhyped set of games that old Peter Molyneux, man oh man did he make promises about, and man oh man did they not live up to those promises. That being said, they didn't really need to. I love the Fable games. They're such good games. They actually are very immersive, and they do a lot with player choice. Although, obviously, it was somewhat limited by the technology of the time, it still went beyond the average game by a pretty fair amount. Also, the stories were charming and the characters were funny. Maybe I'm looking back at it through rose-colored glasses, I don't know, but they are rebooting this game using the Forza Tech engine, and to be frank, it's quite exciting for me. We do not have a release date for Fable. I mean, it could be 2025, could be 2026, but I'm just happy it's happening, honestly. And number 23 is Kinstrife. Imagine if Examina and Mountain Blade had a baby, and that baby was raised by two indie devs over a decade. That's what Kinstrife is. It's a physics-based medieval RPG where you have no pre-canned animations. I'm sure there's, to some extent, some animation, obviously, but it's all governed by physics. And like I said, it's developed by a two-person team, and in all seriousness, for a game developed by a two-person team, it's pretty impressive. We don't have a release date yet, but there is a Steam page, so check in on it as soon as you can. I think you'll get hyped about it. And number 22, it's ArcheAge Chronicles, the MMO sequel. If you remember ArcheAge, a sandbox MMO where you could build castles, sail ships, there's courtroom drama and stuff. Somebody steal your turnips. My turnips! So XL Games is bringing us ArcheAge Chronicles, which is an open world, still MMO, but one with much more fast-paced and dynamic combat, which I'll just go ahead and say I think is a great direction for it. I think taking it in that direction for now is definitely better. A lot of MMOs, I feel like, have some pretty cool stuff in them, but ultimately the combat's usually lackluster. That's what they're focusing on here. Now, obviously, I don't know how that's going to be, but if they're marking it as an MMO action RPG, I think that's a definite shift and a welcome one. We don't have a date, but it is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Moving on to number 21, Tears of Metal, basically Scotland's answer to Dynasty Warriors. Now, it's not fully that. It's also a roguelike, which I think is actually a great idea. What you don't get in the Japanese feudal stuff, you do get in kilts and blue face paint and yelling about freedom, that kind of thing. Like, in all seriousness, Dynasty Warriors, but Braveheart and a roguelike. What else do you want? Now, the thing is, though, this is a game that is taking the roguelike thing seriously. You can gain permanent skills between campaigns, but death is permanent. If you lose a soldier, they're gone for good. So they're not going to let us off easy on this one, but it looks cool as hell. We do not have a release date yet, but there is a Steam page. They have already been through an open beta phase. I actually didn't hear about it at that point, and I unfortunately wasn't able to play it, but it looks cool as hell. Number 20, it's God Save Birmingham. 14th century Birmingham, a bustling medieval market town now with a delightful twist. a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, historical accuracy be damned. In God Save Birmingham, you play as a humble peasant trying to survive a plague that's, well, turned your neighbors into flesh-eating monsters. Now, what we're dealing with here is a zombie game with some survival mechanics in a very not exploited setting in terms of how many zombie games there are. There have been a few that have popped up lately in the medieval era, but this is a relatively new phenomenon, and in this one, you're going to be scavenging for food, crafting weapons, managing hunger, thirst, fatigue, blah, blah, blah. Now, I think something that sets this one apart is that you can barricade doors with furniture, trip zombies over fences, and even injure yourself by fumbling over a misplaced bucket. Like, it's a sandbox experience with some cool physics stuff that, like, I think is going to play out interestingly due to the medieval setting. God Save Birmingham is coming to PC in early access sometime in 2025 with console versions to follow. And if you head over to their Steam page, they have a devlog going. It looks like a cool game. And number 19 is Hunger, a survival PvPvE mayhem fest. I told you there's going to be some undead in the medieval times popping up on this list, and here's more. This is a first-person horror extraction shooter. I know extraction's a bad word, but this does look like a cool game. You got PvE, PvP, a crafting system, like not just for tools and stuff, but weapons too. It's got developers that are interested in community feedback and are going to be launching on PC in early access sometime this year. And number 18 is Outward 2, the follow-up to the survival game by 9 Dots Studio. This is a game about adventuring and, of course, surviving. You can get into debt, you can get dysentery. It's the whole shebang in terms of medieval stuff. Not the normal, like, fun nights and stuff. I mean, like, the stuff that probably would happen if you were in medieval times. You probably get dysentery and die. Like, there's a pretty big likelihood of that. They've overhauled the character creation process for the sequel. They have a dynamic calendar of events, a bunch of non-combat encounters that supposedly actually matter, and NPCs with lives. We've heard that plenty of times, but really this does look like a pretty unique game. Developers have been tight-lipped about the game's release date. We don't know exactly when we're going to see this one, but it's definitely a different-looking game, despite the fact that if you describe it, I don't know, we've all seen survival games. I don't know how many adventure survival games are really the norm, though. This one looks cool to me, I'm sorry. And number 17 is Soulframe, the medieval set game from the masterminds behind Warframe, Digital Extremes. Soulframe set in Mid-Wrath. You're a warrior tasked with restoring balance in the world where nature and humanity are at odds. I mean, it's kind of medieval Warframe in a lot of ways. They've been giving these weird pre-release alpha things called Soulframe Preludes. They're just little early access experiences, and they do send out new invitations regularly, so you probably want to go check out that if you're interested in this. They're claiming it's going to be out sometime this year, but I don't know, sometimes that seems a little bit like a hopeful estimate. And number 16 is the Blood of the Dawnwalker. Hey, would you like it if The Witcher and Majora's Mask had a baby, and that baby knew how to read calendars? So this is developed by Rebel Wolves, which is a studio formed by some former Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk developers. It's set in 14th century Europe, and you're a Dawnwalker, which is between a human and a vampire. You have 30 days to save his family or seek revenge, up to you. As you might guess, player choice, a big deal here. Combat looks pretty cool. You have different combat at night and day, so that adds a strategic layer to the gameplay. I think it's an interesting looking game. This one's coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox Series. We don't have a date, but it's probably going to be 2026. And number 15 is Vindictus, Defying Fate. Remember Vindictus? A decade-old MMO where you could suplex a gnoll into oblivion. Well, Nexon is back with Vindictus Defying Fate, an action RPG. Sound familiar? Oh yeah, Vindictus Defying Fate is following the old Last Berserker formula here, which is not really that old of a formula. It's an MMO with a pretty cool world that made like a really cool backstory for. That's a Souls-like. That's what this is. Or at least I hope that's what this is. That's what this looks like. It's not an open world game. It's going to have a central hub type situation and companion NPCs and multiplayer raids, and I don't know, it's got potential. There's an alpha test coming up next month, June 2025. So check out their Steam page for more. And number 14 is Renown. Basically, if chivalry was mixed into a cauldron with rust. This is a game that is coming from a 4-person team called RDBK Studios. You start with nothing, you gather resources, you build a kingdom, you engage in skill-based melee combat, form alliances, betray friends, claim titles, and add in the goal of becoming the most renowned player in the game. Kind of a fun idea, I think. Renown is going to hit Steam Early Access sometime this year. And number 13 is Light No Fire. Basically, what if we took No Man's Sky and condensed it into a single Earth-sized fantasy planet? This is a procedurally generated Earth-sized open world built with the survival sandbox in mind, but with the depth of a role-playing game. At least that's what they're going for. In some ways, maybe it's sort of a Lord of the Rings meets Minecraft situation. Better graphics, though. Way better graphics. Hello Games seems to have learned their lesson with the No Man's Sky release and has been not making any promises about when Light No Fire is coming out, but current speculation points it at late 2025, early 2026. Check the Steam page for more. This looks like a good game. At number 12, it's Kingmakers. What do you get when you combine medieval times with pickup trucks, guns, F-16s, environmental destruction, and I don't think I need to even say anything else. There are plenty of other things involved with Kingmakers, but I don't need any more. I just need medieval with guns. That's really all I needed. The destruction in this game, though, man, it looks nuts. And you know me, I'm a huge sucker for the environmental destruction. Kingmakers is going to hit early access sometime this quarter, apparently. By all accounts, this can be one of the best games of the year in old Falcon's eyes. I'm not saying it's gonna, but it could be. Talons crossed. And number 11 is Doom: The Dark Ages. It's Doom in the Dark Ages. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot that the title doesn't say. It's a techno-medieval world that's a prequel to what we've been playing since 2016 in Doom. It looks absolutely crazy. You got all the regular Doom stuff, and then you got swords and a shield that's a buzzsaw also. 30-story mechs, dragons that you can ride. Just crazy stuff. This game's got 2-day early access landing on May 13th, but it's for the 15th for everybody else. It's coming to pretty much everything. At number 10 is the Gothic Remake, developed by Alkema, published by THQ Nordic. The intent is to give you a modernized but faithful version of the cult classic. This is, of course, the game that put Piranha Bytes on the map, and unfortunately, we all have to pour one out for them. But hey, let's not pretend either Alex game is even vaguely as compelling as Gothic. Gothic is a weird game, it's a janky game, and this version of it is probably going to be less janky. It's going to use Unreal Engine 5. I don't think they're going to build it on top of the original engine like they did with the Oblivion remake, and they're making the world somewhere between 10 and 30% larger than the original, with day-night cycles, quest lines that are expanded, and a fully reimagined soundtrack by the original composer. The developers are also promising things like a more intuitive UI, which anybody who knows and loves Gothic will understand that the things they're doing here might potentially make Gothic just a straightforwardly good game, which would be weird, but I'll take it. Gothic 1 Remake is coming for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series sometime this year. Moving on to number 9, it's Alkahest. Hey, would you like Dishonored mixed with Kingdom Come Deliverance, mixed with Dark Messiah of Might and Magic? Well, that's right here. And your magic can destroy the environment. That's right, environmental destruction. This list is full of stuff that we've been harping on for years. Zombies in medieval times and environmental destruction. It's all over this list. Alkahest puts you in the worn boots of the youngest son of a petty lord. You're not a chosen one. You're not a legendary hero. Basically, you're just a guy with a chip on his shoulder. So learn alchemy, become a jerk, go into a bunch of castles and forests and villages and do a bunch of quests. Alkahest is coming to PC. There's probably going to be console versions, but we don't know exactly anything about that. Sometime this year is when it's coming to PC. And number 8 is Half Sword. basically physics engine sword stuff. Like, yes, that does mean this is going to be an absurd game. And yes, that does mean Falcon is going to pay very, very close attention to this game when it comes out. Frankly, whether this is good or extremely weird, I probably want to play it. The combat system is actually inspired by historical European martial arts. And you can slice off limbs and stab and get blood spraying all over the place. I mean, it's going to be probably an absolutely nuts game. There is a demo available on Steam. I haven't played it. I am going to now that I am aware there is a demo. I wasn't until I had to do research for this list. And you can bet that's exactly what I'm doing as soon as I am done recording this audio. And number 7 is the Bustling World. Basically, The Sims meets Kenshi, I guess, might be the best way to put it. There's this beautiful hand-painted rendition of ancient China, and you have to, like, host banquets and stuff. Well, not just host banquets, I mean, among many other things. Like, there's a world populated by NPCs with unique traits and familial ties. You kind of do Sim stuff in it. I don't know. Bustling World is a crazy looking game, honestly. I kind of love that these, I mean, they're not the same thing as The Sims. Like, Inzoi is certainly not the same thing as The Sims. And Bustling World also clearly got different things going. I just kind of like that there's new games in this genre all of a sudden. And the Bustling World is coming to Steam sometime in the future. We don't have a release date yet. And number 6 is Project Awakening, a game that was first announced back in 2016, nearly a decade ago at this point, basically as a high fantasy action RPG that drew some comparisons to Monster Hunter or Dragon's Dogma. We haven't really seen a lot, like other than a tech demo in 2021 that did show off a lot of cool stuff of the proprietary Solista game engine that Cygames is building this game on top of. And recently they reassured fans that the game is coming soon. Although they did not give us a release date, it's a TBD still, but the promise of a sprawling dragon-infested world keeps hope alive. And number 5 is Crimson Desert, that absolutely massive-looking pile of lunacy that vaguely resembles The Witcher that grew out of Black Desert Online. I don't know. This is like The Witcher if The Witcher did everything. You got melee, you got range, you got magical, you got dog. You have dog. You have dog. I don't know. You got fishing, climbing, puzzle solving. It just looks like there's a ton of crazy stuff. There's a playable demo at Gamescom 2024, and people who played the game really liked it. And I can't imagine not liking it if it delivers on basically what it's promising to be. It's coming apparently late this year for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series. And number 4 is Blight Survival. I told you there was plenty of zombies in these medieval games. So let's say you wanted Left 4 Dead and Hunt Showdown in a zombie medieval game. That's what you're getting here. Dead by Daylight's developers formed Hanier Studio, and this is their action horror roguelite. Basically, it's a co-op zombie game set in medieval times. Now, you might think that just strictly means you're going to be running around doing crazy attacks in every direction. There's actually some stealth stuff going on here, and the extraction stuff looks a little bit obviously different than Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead is sort of a straightforward progression of levels. This game, it might come out this year, but for all intents and purposes, don't expect it to. It seems some of the developers are pessimistic on a 2025 release date. That doesn't mean they're pessimistic on the game. The game itself looks pretty awesome, so keep your eyes on this one. Moving on to number 3, it's Elder Scrolls 6. Hey, did you know that Elder Scrolls 6 is, I don't know if it's gonna be here soon, but it's on its way. You know how I always complain about Bethesda not giving up on the Creation Engine? Well, Creation Engine 2, that's what they're building this one on. I mean, that doesn't make me particularly happy, but it also doesn't make me sad because it's like, it's Bethesda. Like, they found a way to make Oblivion on the Unreal Engine, but also still on Gamebryo. They're still using Gamebryo. Like, the Creation Engine 2 is Gamebryo. I don't care how much they say it's not. I don't care if they say it's Creation Engine 2. It's the Creation Engine. It's the same thing they've been building these games on forever, and that's both great and also kind of awful. But also, like, let's not pretend we don't all want to play Elder Scrolls 6. We do. I don't know if it's going to be quirky and janky and weird. Starfield's actually pretty stable, all things considered, but also, it's also pretty stale. So I don't know. Maybe it's just they need the Elder Scrolls magic. I don't know what this is coming to, but probably PC, PS5, and Xbox. That'd be my guess. Todd Howard said it's hard to imagine the game not being available on multiple platforms. So I think we're all going to be able to play it regardless of what platform we have. When? I don't know. And number 2 is Ghost of Yotei. Now, I'm not going to say that like this isn't a retread of the same type of story as Ghost of Tsushima, but it does look a lot less linear. Yes, you're out on a revenge quest, but this time you get to decide what order you confront the bad guys in. They're called the Yotei 6 in this one. It's probably Yotei. I don't know. I said Tsushima for like ever. It took me playing it for a while to actually say the word the right way. Once you start saying something one way, it's you got to hear it like a million times another way. Like I still have to like stop for a second and say to myself, it's near automata, not automata. Anyway, we're going to be seeing some new gameplay mechanics in the new Ghost game, as well as some early firearms, because this one's set like 100 or so years in the future, when the feudal era was coming to an end. This one's coming exclusively to PS5 on October 2nd. And finally, at number 1, probably the most anticipated game on this list. For better or for worse, some people for worse, although I would say it looks pretty sweet. The Witcher 4. This game is intended to launch a new trilogy in the series. It's built on Unreal Engine 5, Star series, and if you're a big fan of Witcher 3 and you have been through the events of that game, I can't imagine you not wanting Ciri to take the reins. Geralt's not gone, though. He's just not the main character. And Doug Cockle is going to be doing the voice, so no complaints here. We like seeing our girl grow up, and we like seeing our old gravel mouth hanging around. Most suggestions, most speculation has this game coming out end of 2026, early 2027, maybe. So it's got a 400-person development team at this point. It's going to be a huge game. I hope it launches in a better state than Cyberpunk did, though, I will say. And you know what? In a better state than Witcher 3 did. On consoles, at very least. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and vote me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.